Good morning all. So yesterday class we discussed about replication controller. Controllers we started discussing. And controllers. Let me show you this. So here we discussed about controllers. So while discussing controllers, we discussed an important part called selectors as well as labels. Okay. Selectors and labels we discussed. So this is the master node, and we are trying to create some manifesto file. We are trying to deploy. So while doing that, we need some specific numbers, desired configuration state. So we need 3 number of pods, let's say. So in that use case, so we are going to use controllers, different controllers we are using. First controller is replication controller, we discussed, replication controller. Okay. So with replication controller, we can maintain desired configuration state. But here the backend concept is they are using selectors and labels, because these are all pods spread across the multiple nodes. How to identify these specific pods? Because currently we are discussing only one application or one service, Flipkart service, let us say, mobile service you can say. But within the mobile Flipkart, so many services are there. Okay. So just see these are all different services. Similar to these pods, multiple other services also running, right? But how to identify right pod? Mobile pod. So here we mentioned mobile, fashion, these are all pods. For that, we use selectors as well as labels. So by using selector, just say here mobile selector, here fashion selector. So based on that, we can identify these components. So till now, yesterday we discussed. If you have any questions, first let us address first. Any questions, please? Yesterday we created replication controller as well. This is a controller. So this is the one you can see. Application controller, metadata, also specifications. Indirectly, we are creating this structure, right? So replication controller, within that pods, 3 pods we created. Each pod contains one container, right? This is the scenario yesterday we created. Now let us discuss about ReplicaSet. So replication controller is a legacy one, right? So always we need to use ReplicaSet only. Let us see that. ReplicaSet. So we need this much numbers, right? Pods I need to use. ReplicaSet. Suppose if you are trying to create number of pods, always we need to make sure that number, how to achieve that. So here replication controller and ReplicaSet. Why we need to go for ReplicaSet? Let us discuss this point. ReplicaSet, it supports set-based selectors. Set-based selectors. And replication controller, it supports equality-based selectors. Set-based, equality-based selectors. So whatever scenario we explained, this scenario, just refer this picture also. So here you can refer this picture, same scenario, whether it is ReplicaSet or replication controller, selectors and labels. So just see here. So here selector, here they mentioned multiple selectors. Previous class we observed only one selector, but you can also maintain multiple selectors. So just see. Project name, my happy web, this is the project name, and role front end. And just observe backend also here. Backend, our nodes also they see. Front end. Also, these are all projects, same projects, right? So here environments are different, you see. Dev, test, dev. In this way, you can classify that also. Now here they mentioned only 2 labels, right? 2 selectors they mentioned. These 2 selectors matched with all pods. All pods we can start accessing. So based on the selection, you can use it. Now, so if you want to access specific dev, you can mention one more selector here, so that you can access only dev related pods, because these 3 are matching, right? these three are matching. If you mention dev, env equal to dev here, right? So in this way, you can add these parameters also. So now main question, why we need to go for ReplicaSet? Let us see that. Okay. So pods, selectors, based on the selectors, we are going to actually just see sample one. This is app equal to guest book, hire front end, environment dev. These are environment we observed, right? Previous classes. Dev. So these are SDLC stages. These are all SDLC stages. Developer, they already completed development and all these things. Now they are trying to release this application with different environments. Dev, QA, and prod. Dev, QA, and prod. And again, within dev, you can mention these roles. You see, fire equal to whether it is front end or back end, sub layer or DB layer, different layers we can create it. These are all things we can mention that while defining your environment, these are all things you can mention that. Right? So most of the time, we will use only single environment, right? We don't want to place Kubernetes cluster in multiple environments in the one cluster. Right? So here we can place one cluster, Kubernetes cluster. Here we can place one cluster. Right? So in this way, you can see that. Okay. Now, let's see. These are all differentiation between your replica set and replication control. So while using your replica set, let's see. Simple first is just observe this section first. This section first observe. Later we'll see other sections. Suppose if you are trying to mention only specific environment, let us say I would like to work with only one environment. You can see this. You can use replication control. But I would like to mention multiple environments. Okay. Then you can use this replica set. Most of the time, we try to use it for these multiple scenarios. So not only prod and QA, other parameters also. Here we take in reference as a prod and QA, but also you can take multiple references. So suppose if you are trying to maintain multiple scenarios, just go for your set-based selectors. Okay? Set-based selectors, nothing but replica set. Set-based selector supports other components also. As of now, we discuss only replication controller and replica set, but other components also there. Job, deployment, other things support set-based. It means simply you can say multiple environments it will support. So whatever solution you are providing will support for multiple components or scenarios. Okay. So in this way, you can see set-based selectors. Equality-based only it supports only limited. Okay, specific. That's why we are saying legacy, old component we are saying. So we don't want to use this environments. Replication controller, we don't want to use it. And also how to use this. Suppose if you are trying to mention some specific parameter, you can use equal, is equal to, but here you can see in, not in, exist. Not in means this symbol, right? Exist in these type of symbols, you can use it. And also while mentioning your name and value pair, just say environment equal to production. Same scenario here, you'll try to mention environment in production and QA, whatever it is. So if it is not in, just see here, not in, this is a symbol. So a little bit changes will be there. It's very small changes. And also just now here we observed, right? Also just see selectors and labels. So here we mentioned simply selectors and labels, but one more parameter, two more parameters will be added here. Match labels, match expression. Okay. So let us see that, how to mention all these scenarios. Let us see that. Any questions, please, till now? Any questions, please? Okay. Next one. Next, let us see. Now let us try to set up one application. Let me show you this. Let me show you this picture. Just imagine I'm trying to set up dev environment. Within that, I would like to set up I would like to set up one application. So here I need one replica set. Within this replica set, I need 3 pods. 3 pods I need. Each pod contains one container. Okay. Replica set is a pod 1, pod 2, pod 3. Why we need multiple pods? If one pod goes down, other pod will take care of the load. Pod 1, pod 2, pod 3. Pod 2, pod 3. And these are all containers again. These are all containers. These are all containers, singular containers. Now we are trying to set up this scenario. Now, let us create it. So first, just go back to documentation, Kubernetes API reference. Kubernetes API reference 1.31. One second, it is taking time. Sorry, 1.31, right? By mistake, I mentioned 2.1. Only they are maintaining updated versions only. Not just. So which component we are going to create? Replica set. And just see, previously we created a pod replication controller. If you observe this API version of this is V1 core and here also V1 core, but replica set they changed. V1 apps just created. So here we already observed how to create pod, we already observed. Now on top of that, we are adding one more layer called replica set. One more layer called replica set we are adding. So let us see that. So suppose if you need some sample script, just use this sample script. So here they already mentioned sample script. You can start using that. Now, so let us see. So let us try to create our script. Let me create file. So here we already added extension, right? Kubernetes extension here we added. Kubernetes extension. Let me try to deactivate our this one, Copilot, because it is giving suggestions. Currently, we don't need suggestions either. Disable. So just disable. Here disable Copilot. If you want to just open one more time, because we need to restart this session. Let me open one more time Visual Studio Code. Now, just create your file, replicaset.yml. Replicaset.yml. This is the one. Just enter API version. First one, API version we need to mention. API version. So this time we need to change API version apps v1. Previously we observed core, right? Now we need to use apps v1. You see here, API version. So why we need to use this API version? Previous classes we discussed. Kubernetes will understand only this API versions only. So first it will try to check the list within this Kubernetes cluster. So based on that, it will try to observe. Now, so you see API version apps v1. Apps v1, you can mention apps v1. And kind you can mention. What is the kind here? Replica set. R capital, S capital. Replica set. You see here, kind. Let us mention kind. Replica set. And metadata. So metadata, need to mention name. This replica set name. So you see here, replica set name. You can mention some name. So my app RS or my app RS. RS nothing but replica set. So just mention the same name here. So our replica set name is my app RS. This is my replica set name. Next one. Next one, let's see. Let's go back to documentation. So here we mentioned replica set RS, metadata we here mentioned, right? Next, we need to mention labels here. Label section we need to mention. Because whoever is trying to access this replica set, they should use some labels. You can refer this picture, somewhere it is here, right? These type of labels. Which application service they are using, whether it is front end or back end, or which role it is. These are all things we need to mention. Right? So let us mention. So here I'm trying to mention my replicas. First, let us mention specifications. Okay. So here I'm trying to mention my specifications. Let us mention specification here. Spec, or just go back to this documentation also to see. Replica set spec. Specification. First mention specification, spec, and within that, just click this option. Okay. So replicas. How many pods you need? Here I mentioned 3. Let us mention replicas. Replicas. Sub option replicas. You see, replicas you can mention. I need 3 replicas I need. So here we mentioned replicas 3. These 3 replicas I need. Now we need to mention selectors. So once you receive the request from users, where do you want to redirect this traffic to? Backend. So for that we need selectors. So let us mention selectors. Selectors. Let's mention selectors. Okay. Just mention attributes. Some backend related attribute, app equal to so and so. These things, front end or backend, these are all things you can mention that. So let us refer this documentation also. App equal to Nginx. Okay. Or some other. App equal to my app Nginx or some other. App equal to Nginx app. Okay. Also, I would like to mention whether it is front end or back end. Okay. Front end or back end. So for that, so here I'll try to use, sorry, here I need to use match labels actually. Sorry, I didn't mention match labels. So because while using replication controller, directly you can mention this without match labels and match expressions. But now you need to mention match labels and match expressions. Why we need to use this? Because we are going to manage multiple environments. That's why we are using. So let us mention match labels. Let me mention. match labels. Match labels. Similar way, match expressions also. Match labels here, whatever labels are there, you can mention. Suppose if you are trying to mention multiple environments, you can mention under match expressions. Just see these options also. So just see selectors, just click selectors. Match labels, match expressions. This is match label, single key pair, right? Here you can see that. Now, we mentioned match labels here, app equal to nginx or something here mentioned. Now I would like to mention list of label selected requirements or list of variables, you can say that. So match expressions, so you can mention that. Let me mention match expressions. Also just use this same naming convention. Where it is, match expression, right? Just go back. Let's go back. Selectors, label selectors. Match E capital, remaining letters are small letters. Match expressions. Match expressions. So here you can mention list of environments. So here I mentioned labels. My application name is this is the one. Whoever is trying to access that should be redirected to Nginx app. Let me mention selector here. Selector. My app Nginx. Now, so let us mention match expressions. So just try to define this expression. Simply tire equal to front end. This is the one we are going to mention. But while mentioning this scenario, while mentioning your this one, just see set based instruction, right? We are used same scenario. Just see tire equal to front end. That's what we are going to mention. But here we are trying to mention tire. This scenario we are mentioning. This scenario environment tire in production or whatever front end or back end we are going to mention. So let us mention. This is the expression JC, sample one JC, match expression. So let us mention that. So key, tire, and operator in means equal to, is equal to, you can say values equal to front end. Simply you can say this is the value we are going to mention, but tire equal to front end. We are trying to represent the same scenario in the for match expression format. Just open brackets, key, tire, tire, and then next one. So let us mention operator. Just make sure small letters also capital letters. You just make sure whatever letters are the same letters you need to use. Operator in operator in. And then values. How many environments you are going to mention? Right. So suppose just see here if you are trying to mention multiple environments, it's not possible, right? That's why we are using. If it is front end, back end, different scenarios, right? You can mention. Let us mention values, front end. If any other environment, just mention comma, space, and mention other environment also. Front end. So in this way, you can see that. So just see here. Now just see specifications. So two things here we mentioned. One is under selectors we mentioned app equal to Nginx app. Other one is tire equal to front end. These two things we mentioned. So now these two parameters should contains this pod should have these two parameters. Then only we can redirect this traffic to pod. Okay. Whoever pods having these two, we can establish connectivity. So till now, if you have any questions, first let us discuss. Any questions, please? Any questions, please? Now, so let us see. Now, so let's create it. So till now we completed this section. Up to selector section we completed. Now, till this replica set configuration we completed. What is the replica set name? What are the selectors? These are all things we completed. Now we need to come back to actual pod. Previously, we already completed pod configuration. How to create pod, all these things we already completed. Now we need to create these steps. Let us see that. So now just go back to documentation. Here we completed this section, right? Just go back to documentation. See here. We completed selector section also. Now just click pod template. So here you can mention template. Template you can mention. Under template, you can mention this section. Template. Template nothing but pod related configuration. Now you need to mention what type of pods you are going to create. So whether it is Nginx or SQL or whatever it is. Okay. Each pod contains some containers. Now, let us create it. Pod template. So here I'm creating pod template. Okay. So within that, just create your pod configuration. Just use this configuration also. It's similar to your pod creation. Previously, you already completed configuration. Just in, it is redirected to again pod. If you click pod template, it is redirected to again pod. Okay. This is, okay. So let us see here. So metadata. So previously we mentioned replica set name, right? Now I need to mention metadata. So my app pod. So here instead of that, okay, so you can need to, in addition to that, we need to add our labels also. This is whatever labels here you added, these two, add. Each pod should contains these values. Then only we can establish connectivity. Just now we discussed. Each pod same label. These are all things we can call labels. Labels you can say. These are all things you can call labels. Just call labels. These are all selectors. These are all labels. So here we already mentioned 3, right? Number 3 here we mentioned. Now we are going to create 3 pods. Each pod configuration we are creating now. Under template, if you create one template, it will be applicable for all 3 pods. All 3 pods it is. Let us create it. Now, so let us mention. So name equal to pod, my web pod. Next, let us mention our labels also. Whatever labels here defined, right? Let us mention. Same label should be there. Whatever labels you applied at replica set level, same label should be there in the pod level also. So now let us mention labels here. Labels. Just mention this label. App equal to Nginx. Tire equal to front end. That's what, right? You see. So here, no need to mention under label section, no need to mention this section. You no need to use this. Tire equal to front end. Yes. front end. Just use same spellings here. Any spelling mistake, again, you may receive some errors. So here we mentioned labels. So first we mentioned how to accept the request we mentioned. Next, you need to mention which image you are going to use. Nothing but we need to mention our container specification now. Initially, we configured replica set configuration, and then we observed a pod. Now we are trying to set up our container configuration. Actual application, which one you are using. So actual application, we are going to place under container section. These are all container sequences. These are all containers. Now let us mention specifications. Container specifications. Spec you can mention. So let us mention spec. So why I'm trying to place under metadata? Because it's under pod, right? It's under pod I'm trying to create. Spec. Just mention specifications. Containers. So just mention containers. How many containers you are going to create, right? So as of now, I need only one container. So within this, I need only one container. So hyphen name, my app container. Remember each pod one container, okay? And also which image you are using. You can use any image as per your application requirement. You can use it. Nginx. I'm using sample Nginx, and also you can mention some port numbers. So where do you want to access this application? Hyphen container port. Right? So let us mention container port. Container port 80. Now just go back to this picture. We define all this structure. Just see here. We define this level, replica set. So once it is done, so here we mentioned pod configuration. So within the pod, so here we mentioned container. In this way you can see how we are redirecting this traffic replica set to pod. So by using labels and selectors. So they can understand, or they will establish communication between these two by using labels, selectors and labels, right? So in this way, you can see that. Now, till now, if you have any questions, let us discuss. Any questions, please? You see, just try to observe this. This is a replica set. This is a replica set. This is entire replica set. Within that, so here we placed our replicas 3 and selectors, and also just see this is related to our pod structure. Template, nothing but a pod template you can call. Pod template structure. These are all replica set related configuration. These are all configuration. And you can see pod template, the pod related configuration. And also each pod contains these containers. In this way, you can see that. Now let us try to deploy this application. For that, so we already completed our Kubernetes cluster. Let us try to log in with our this console. So we added our Kubernetes extension, right? Let me log in with Kubernetes extension here. So this is an old cluster. You can ignore this or remove. Let me remove. Now, just switch to your path. Here you can see. Just now we created replica set, right? Replica set ym. Now just try to execute this command. Let me open our Kubernetes commands notepad as well. Kubernetes. These are all commands, right? These are all commands we are using. So what is the command we are using? AZ-AKS. This is a command we are using because we need to authorize our Kubernetes cluster, right? We are using this command. So what is the cluster name? This is the cluster name. what is the resource group name? This is the resource group. Now just try to execute this command. Just same cluster, right? 577. Same cluster. Right? Now just try to execute this command. kubectl. Now I would like to deploy this application. Right? ReplicaSet. Now whenever you're trying to set up this, we'll get self-healing capabilities. If one pod goes down, still you can access your application with other pods. Okay? So let us see here. kubectl apply -f, and what is the manifesto file? replicaset.yml. Enter. So it is saying that some error. Let us see. So where it is showing some front end, somewhere it is showing error. Map key, it is showing error. Let us see. Front end, somewhere it is showing error. So here it is showing error. Let us see. Front end. Values, right? Values, so we didn't mention. Yeah, we didn't mention values. Let us mention. So let us mention values. We forgot to mention values. Let's execute it. Select selectors. Selector or selectors. ఇదంటారా ఇక్కడ 1 second. Let me check. Key hyphen ఉంది కదా, very much. So you forgot to mention. Yeah, hyphen
ఉంది కదా, మనం సెలెక్టర్స్ పెట్టినట్టు.
Selector, అది కూడా mistake ఉంది. Selectors is also one mistake. So here I need to mention hyphen key actually. Hyphen also here I need to mention. Expressions.
వాల్యూస్ దగ్గర స్పేస్ ఇచ్చారు చూడండి. There is no space between the values and front end. I think so.
Yeah. Let me check. Space. There is a space actually.
There's a space.
There is a space. Somewhere we are missing.
సార్ మేబీ అది లైన్ కింద ఉండాలి సార్. ఇక్కడ మ్యాచ్
Black pen పర్లేదండి అది. Okay, that's okay. So in this way we can mention multiple values also. Currently here we mentioned one, right? You can add match expressions, multiple things also. That's why they're using hyphen. Selectors, right? We changed the selectors also, right? Selector. Enter. Now we are able to create. Just two mistakes. One is syntax. Other one is yes also there. So two things. Now kubectl get all. See, now we are able to see three pods. These three pods, right? Pod 1, pod 2, pod 3, three pods. On top of that, replication set, replica set, 3 by 3. Our desired configuration state is 3. It means we need 3 pods, right? So while implementing our manifesto, we mentioned tree. Now it is maintaining tree as well. So just see here, desired current ready. We are asking 3 number. Currently also it is maintaining 3. If any deviation, it will show you error. You can also just see, just try to enter -o wide. Let me enter one more command. -o wide. So you can observe which worker node or pods are running, because currently we are running 3, right? So currently we are using Azure agent pool, right? That's why we don't have any differences, even though they are showing different nodes here. 0, 1 and 0. Different nodes it is running. Those are running. Equally they are distributing. So different nodes. These are all different worker nodes, right? So based on the roles, previous roles we discussed, right? HCD, control manager, scheduler. Scheduler will find out right place for pod. Whatever right pod is there, right node. Right node means sufficient resources for this pod. Whatever pod you are placing, sufficient resources it requires. Control manager will take care of how many numbers you are maintaining. That will take care of desired configuration state. Now, so in this way, you can see that. Just try to remove one pod now. Now just try to remove one pod. kubectl delete pod. What is the pod here? This is the pod I'm trying to mention. 5q, R5q. This is the pod I'm trying to delete. Here I'm not able to delete it. Please, delete pod. Now just see, just now we deleted, right? Just enter our command. 5rq something I deleted, right? So say 5 seconds ago, immediately created one more new pod. So that's why we are saying like it is trying to reduce the dependency from operation teams. Okay, if anything goes wrong, Kubernetes itself, it is providing some solutions, at least basic self-healing it is providing. So here there is an issue with some specific pod. This is the pod it is see, 5rq, immediately it is creating separate pod. So within that pod, we are placing our containers also. Now, here we observe basic capabilities. Now just see, now we are able to achieve high availability here. Also self-healing. But just see, we are trying to deploy our application, just see mobile application only, Flipkart, or this is the version we are deploying. So there is a sale, big sale. Now they are planning to change these options. They are trying to add new objects. They would like to publish new objects. Right? Now they are trying to publish. Once they publish, they observed some issues. Let us say V1 version, old version is V1. Now they are trying to publish for V2, V2 for big sale, let us say. Now they deployed new version, let us imagine. After deploying this version, they realized that there is an issue with latest version. Again, they would like to switch back to V1 version. They would like to switch back to V1 version. So these things we can simplify with our deployment strategy. Right? Now here I can add one more layer called same scenarios. On top of that, let us add one more layer called deployment strategies. Okay. So whatever high availability, self-healing currently we are achieving, on top of that, let us add this scenario. Okay. So next class, let us do that. Next class, we'll try to observe this scenario also, how to achieve these deployment strategies. After that, we'll see services. As of now, we didn't observe how to access this application from external world. So we need to observe it as well, networking and the services section. So once we understand these capabilities, then we'll go back to that section. So till now, if you have any questions, let us discuss. Any questions, please? Just try to set up your application with the ReplicaSet. And once you are clear with ReplicaSet, then we'll go for deployment as well, Kubernetes deployment. So if you observe here, let me show you that. Workloads, currently we are discussing workload section. Under that, till now we focused. Let's see, pods we observed. We created our own pods. These are all system related pods. Similar way, also if you are trying to observe our pods, this is somewhere you can see my app, these pods, right? These are all our own pods. Okay? These are all related system related pods. And also we covered ReplicaSet. These are all system related ReplicaSet. And also our ReplicaSet Jesse, my app RS, this is our ReplicaSet. And here we're not able to see a replication controller because that's a legacy outdated, right? That's why we're not able to see that. So next section, let us see deployment. We'll see that. We'll see one by one. Any other questions, please? Let's go to the session. We'll see it tomorrow. Thank you.